So only a tiny bit left of this, the 11th chapter of The Stolen Lake by Joan Aiken. I am going to pick up in the middle of the paragraph that the video cut off in. Dido was about to be led to the edge of the cliff by Caradog. He picked up a thing like a witch's broom, a long stake with a bundle of itchu grass tied at one end, and with it gestured Dido toward the doorway. She had intended to put up a vigorous struggle, but to her surprise and rage she found herself obeying him with dreamy docility, walking peacefully along, putting one foot in front of the other. "Blister it, mister," she muttered, yawning. "I reckon you put some hocus-pocus in that cup of tea, you wicked old wretch, didn't you? What a naughty I was to go and drink it. Might have known you'd be up to tricks. Should have remembered what Mr. Holy told me." She yawned again. "Just keep walking," said the guardian. Outside it was not so dark as it had seemed in Dido's room. A mild blue dusk filled the silver-cobbled streets. Beyond the twin peaks of Ertain and Elamai, the evening star shone clear, and the slopes of Mount Catalonde were turning a soft velvety red. A few birds still keened and whistled overhead, and when they climbed higher, Dido looked down and saw Lake Arianrod had been completely refilled and now lay among its mountains like a calm steel blue star. "When you think about it," she said to her guardian. She could still not argue, though. She seemed to have lost command over her arms and legs. "When you think about it, there wasn't no need for Mabon to send back the lake." "Why not?" grunted Caradog. Dido turned to look at him, observed that he had donned formal clothes for the ceremony, a frock coat and a black stovepipe hat. "Why not? She wanted it back, so her Rex Quondam could come out of it, didn't she? But he'd already come, and you're throwing me in like you did all the other poor gals, and hundreds of other guardians before you, I suppose, so as to keep her alive till he gets back. Well, he's got back, and she's still alive, so what's the point?" "Keep moving," the guardian said. He gestured with the hand that held the broom. The other clasped a silver-tipped wand of office. He added, "Even though Artaeus has returned, his lady is still of immense age. Married to a much younger king, she will need more care and support than ever before." "Well, I reckon she's lived quite long enough," said Dido. But despite her indignant feelings, she could not prevent herself from obeying the guardian. They still came to the high stone shaft with the face of Sol. They descended to the terrace below, and here Caradog waited, leaning on his silver-tipped rod and eyeing the horizon until the delicate slip of the new moon moved out from behind the shoulder of Mount Damiac with the mysterious, shadowy ghost of the old moon cradled inside it, like an egg inside its egg cup. Now it is time," he said. "Blame it!" expostulated Dido. "It ain't right for me to die. Have you thought of that, mister? You're an old gadger. You've lived nigh on 80 years, I shouldn't wonder. You did a whole lot of things and learned a lot of stuff. So Mussy knows you ain't put it to very good use, but I haven't hardly done nothing. I ain't learned much neither, except to use the globes that Mr. Holy taught me, and how to curtsy and cut up whales." At the thought of Mr. Holystone, her voice, to her shame, began to wobble dangerously. She stopped speaking and drew in a deep breath. "Cease repining, child, and go down those steps," said Caradog. "Do not quarrel with your destiny. If Sol wishes you to die, then it is your time." Dido remembered the story that Bran had told about the man who picked up the necklace. "Well, if it is my destiny," she thought, "best not to make a pother about it." She walked slowly down the long flight of stone steps and out onto the rock spur. It was much longer and wider than it had looked from above. It took about 20 steps to reach the end. There she stood, feeling the mild evening breeze, gazing down at the waters of Lake Arianrod 1,000 feet below. "One thing the old cusses forgot," she thought. "There ain't any fish in the lake now. Their bones was lying all over the sand, so no one's going to nibble me to a skeleton. I shall just drown, but still, I don't much want to drown." A red light began to glow behind her. She half turned, cautiously, and saw that the guardian had set light to the end of his broom, which was a kind of long-handled torch. He stood at the inner end of the rock spur, holding the flaming brand, presumably to prevent Dido from trying to go back, should she have any thoughts of doing so. He was waving the torch in slow circles so that it plumed and sparkled. The sight made Dido dizzy, so she turned her back on him again. How long will it be before I get so fuddle-headed that I topple off, she wondered dismally. Maybe it would be best to jump, but I don't want to jump. And then, looking up, she thought with a pang of dismay, Blistered? There's aurochs about. I thought they wasn't supposed to come out after dark. For an unmistakable triangular shape was floating down toward her, silhouetted black against the twilight sky. It must have launched itself from a crag somewhere higher up in the hillside. No, really, that's a bit much, Dido exclaimed. Drowning's one thing, but I ain't going to be a bedtime tidbit for no auroch. And taking a deep breath, she tensed her knees, preparing to launch herself off the rock pinnacle, when she was startled almost out of her wits by a familiar voice. Pray, keep quite still, pray, Miss Twite, said Captain Hughes. Don't kick, don't cry out, and above all, don't wriggle. Just remain calm, and I promise you that in a very short time I shall convey you to a place of safety. And he gripped her very firmly indeed under her arms and floated off with her above the dark waters of Lake Arianrhod. And that is the end of chapter 11.